In this episode, we continue building your cryptography foundation by shifting from confidentiality to integrity and by exploring how hashing supports digital trust. You have already learned that symmetric encryption protects data from being read by unauthorized parties. Hashing serves a different but equally important purpose. Instead of hiding data, hashing creates a fixed-length digital fingerprint of data so you can detect whether it has changed. This concept underpins integrity, one of the pillars of the CIA triad. It also plays a central role in secure password storage, which is one of the most practical and widely tested applications of cryptography at the foundational level. When you clearly understand how hashing differs from encryption and why that difference matters, many exam questions become straightforward rather than confusing. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is a companion to our course companion books. The first book is about the exam and provides detailed information on how to pass it best. The second book is a Kindle-only ebook that contains 1,000 flashcards that can be used on your mobile device or Kindle. Check them both out at cyber.author.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. Let's begin with a simple definition. A hash function takes input data of any size and produces a fixed-length output, commonly called a hash value or digest. This output appears random, but it is deterministically generated from the input. That means the same input will always produce the same hash value, as long as the same algorithm is used. Even a tiny change in the input, such as changing one character, produces a dramatically different hash value. This property makes hashing ideal for integrity checks. If you store the original hash value of a file and later compute the hash again, you can compare the two. If they match, the file has not changed. If they differ, something has altered the data. It is critical to understand that hashing is not encryption. Encryption is reversible if you have the correct key. Hashing is designed to be one-way, meaning you cannot easily reconstruct the original input from the hash value. This one-way property is what makes hashing useful for password storage and integrity verification. If hashing were reversible, it would behave like encryption, and anyone with the right method could recover the original data. On the exam, one common trap is confusing these two concepts. If a question asks about detecting unauthorized modification, hashing is likely the correct answer. If it asks about preventing unauthorized reading, encryption is likely more relevant. Hashing directly supports integrity by allowing systems to verify that data has not been altered unexpectedly. For example, when downloading software, a provider may publish a hash value for the file. After downloading, you compute the hash of your copy and compare it to the published value. If they match, the file is likely authentic and unmodified. If they differ, the file may have been corrupted or tampered with. This process does not hide the file. It ensures that what you received is exactly what was intended. In exam scenarios involving file validation or tamper detection, hashing is often the core control being described. Now let's connect hashing to secure password storage, which is one of its most important real-world uses. A common beginner mistake is to think that passwords should be encrypted and stored so they can be decrypted later. That approach is risky because if the encryption key is compromised, all stored passwords can be recovered. Instead, secure systems store hashed versions of passwords. When a user creates a password, the system computes its hash and stores only the hash value. Later, when the user logs in, the system hashes the entered password and compares it to the stored hash. If the hashes match, access is granted. The original password is never stored in readable form. This design reduces impact if the database is breached. However, hashing passwords by itself is not always enough. Attackers can use techniques like precomputed hash tables to reverse common password hashes. This is where salting becomes important. A salt is a random value added to the password before hashing. The salt is unique for each password and is stored alongside the hash. When the user logs in, the system combines the entered password with the stored salt and computes the hash again. Because the salt is unique, identical passwords produce different hash values. This prevents attackers from using simple lookup tables to crack many passwords at once. In exam questions about strengthening password storage, salting is often a key concept. Another important idea in password hashing is the use of specialized hashing algorithms designed to be computationally intensive. Unlike general-purpose hash functions that are optimized for speed, password hashing functions are designed to slow attackers down. The slower the hashing process, the harder it is for attackers to try millions or billions of guesses quickly. This is particularly important in defending against brute force attacks. From a risk perspective, slowing down guessing reduces likelihood of successful compromise. On the exam, when asked about improving password security, answers involving stronger hashing and salting are often more appropriate than simply increasing password length alone. It is also important to understand collision resistance in hashing. A collision occurs when two different inputs produce the same hash value. Strong hash functions are designed to make collisions extremely unlikely. If collisions were easy to create, attackers could manipulate data to match a known hash and bypass integrity checks. While the mathematics of collision resistance are advanced, the concept at the foundational level is simple. A good hash function minimizes the chance that two different inputs produce the same output. This property supports trust in integrity verification processes. In exam questions discussing weaknesses in hash algorithms, collision vulnerabilities may be mentioned as a risk. Hashing also plays a role in digital signatures and message authentication, which you will explore more deeply in later topics. For now, it is enough to recognize that hashing is often combined with other cryptographic methods to protect both integrity and authenticity. Authenticity means confirming that data truly comes from a claimed source. Hashing contributes by ensuring that data has not been altered, which is one piece of verifying authenticity. Keeping these distinctions clear prevents confusion when exam questions combine multiple cryptographic ideas. If a question focuses specifically on detecting changes, hashing is central. From a governance and risk perspective, secure password storage is a control that reduces the impact of a data breach. If an attacker steals a database containing hashed and salted passwords, the effort required to recover usable passwords increases dramatically. This does not eliminate risk entirely, but it reduces the damage potential. Compare this to storing passwords in plain text, which would allow immediate compromise. In terms of likelihood and impact, hashing and salting primarily reduce impact by limiting what an attacker can do with stolen data. This connection to risk management helps you reason through scenario questions logically rather than memorizing terms. Another common misunderstanding is believing that hashing protects data in transit. Hashing alone does not protect confidentiality because it does not hide data. If sensitive information is transmitted without encryption, an attacker can still read it even if a hash is used for verification. Hashing verifies integrity. Encryption protects confidentiality. Many secure protocols use both because they serve different purposes. On the exam, if a question asks which control prevents eavesdropping, encryption is the stronger answer. If it asks which control detects tampering, hashing is more appropriate. Keeping these roles separate helps you eliminate incorrect answer choices. It is also important to recognize that hash values themselves must be protected appropriately. If attackers can alter both the data and the stored hash, integrity verification becomes meaningless. Therefore, systems must protect stored hash values and ensure they cannot be modified without detection. This may involve additional controls such as access restrictions and monitoring. This layered approach reflects defense in depth, where multiple safeguards support each other. Even a strong hash function cannot provide integrity if the environment around it is insecure. On the exam, answers that reflect layered thinking often indicate deeper understanding. As you review this material, practice explaining the difference between encryption and hashing in one clear sentence. Encryption protects confidentiality by transforming data into unreadable form that can be reversed with a key. Hashing protects integrity by producing a one-way digest that detects changes. Then add password storage to your explanation. Secure password storage relies on hashing with unique salts so that original passwords are not stored and cannot easily be recovered if the database is compromised. This simple verbal summary reinforces the relationships among these ideas. Rehearse it until it feels natural and confident. To conclude, hashing is a one-way cryptographic function that supports integrity by producing fixed-length digests that change dramatically with even small input changes. It differs from encryption because it is not meant to be reversed. Hashing plays a critical role in verifying file integrity and in securely storing passwords when combined with salting and computationally intensive algorithms. These practices reduce the impact of data breaches and strengthen digital trust. When analyzing scenarios, focus on whether the goal is confidentiality or integrity and choose encryption or hashing accordingly. If you keep one decision rule from this episode, let it be this. When the objective is to detect unauthorized changes or store passwords safely, think hashing with salting rather than encryption.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.